everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be ranking Morgan Matson's books because she is one of my favourite contemporary authors. She writes YA primarily. I don't think she's released an adult book yet, but maybe sometime in the future. I have strong feelings about all of these, so I wanted to tell you which one I thought was the best and which one I thought was my least favourite, because none of them are the worst really. So I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. There are 6 books that I'm going to talk about. Morgan Matson actually writes under another name, which is Katie something. I've forgotten what it is, but I will put her books up here. Those books are for slightly younger audiences, I would say. These books are still for YA audiences, but I would say more older teens. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking. In 6th place, I have Take Me Home Tonight, which is Morgan Matson's newest book. I didn't hate this by any means, but I still only gave it 3 to 3.5 stars. I didn't think it was her best work. I apologise, Bucky is eating cardboard right now. So this is about 2 best friends whose names I can't remember, Kat and Stevie. They sneak off into New York City for the night. They live in New Jersey. It's Stevie's birthday, and so they decide to head off into the city. Unfortunately, the 2 of them get separated because they have some issues that they need to sort of work on together. They get into an argument and they get separated, and they kind of go on a bit of a solo adventure through the city before coming back together at the end. I thought this book took a long time to get going, so it lost marks for that. And also there was this very strange storyline featuring another friend of these 2 girls that kind of came out of nowhere. It didn't really feel like a Morgan Matson book, and that's why I put this one at the bottom of my list, because it just felt a bit off to me. I know that this one took her maybe 2 years to write because she hasn't released a book in quite a while. I don't know if that's due to COVID or what's been going on, but this one just felt a little bit off to me, although I did still enjoy it. Next we have Morgan Matson's debut, which is Amy and Roger's epic Detour. I really enjoyed this one. It was the first one of Morgan Matson's that I read. I think I picked this one up just before Second Chance Summer came out. This one received a lot of promotion when it first came out, and it took the book blogging community by storm. Everyone loved it. I did really enjoy it. It's about Amy and Roger, who I can't remember if they were friends before. They weren't, you know, best friends. They have to take a road trip together because Amy's mother is moving across the country, and we follow them on their road trip, on their various adventures. You'll find that Morgan Matson's books, not all of them, but a few of them, do have some adventurous kind of tropes to them, which I do quite enjoy. So yeah, Amy and Roger get to know each other. They obviously get together. I think one thing that people really liked about this book was that it had lists of, well, playlists dotted throughout the book. So this is playlist number 4, which is written by Roger, and you've got a list of songs that you can listen to as you're reading this book. It was kind of like a mixed media thing in an early 2000s mixed media format, if that makes sense. It wasn't as fancy as Illuminate or anything, but it was still very good. Next I have Save the Dates, which is about a girl called Charlie whose sister is getting married at the family home. It's a very big family and chaos ensues. I really enjoyed this one, but it's definitely not my favourite of Morgan Matson's books, just because I didn't feel such a massive connection to Charlie like I did with the characters in the remaining books. It's also quite amusing because this one features a dog that gets rented out for weddings, I think, and I remember really enjoying that part of the book because I love animals. And actually I think almost all of Morgan Matson's books nowadays feature a dog, so that's fun. I did enjoy this one. I very much enjoyed the chaos of it. I love the family coming together and all of the drama that came about because of it. It's just not my favourite of hers, and again, it's quite a short one. I think all of my least favourite ones of hers are shorter, which is interesting. In 3rd place, bronze if you will, we have The Unexpected Everything. This one is about a girl who I believe is the daughter of a politician, and she gets she gets a job as a dog walker, and that's why there are a ton of dogs on the cover. And again, one of my favourite tropes is dog walkers or dog sitters or dog grooming or having to look after a dog in books, which is a very specific trope, but it's something that I really enjoy. So I really enjoyed this one for that. I also really enjoyed the political aspect of it as well. So Andy's dad is a politician and he gets involved in some sort of scandal. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but Andy is having to deal with the aftermath of that and the aftermath of being a scandalous politician's daughter. It was very interesting to read about the way that she formed relationships with people, being a politician's famous daughter. Again, this one had the chaos vibe that I was talking about that is present in Save the Dates and Take Me Home Tonight. So I think Morgan Matson is kind of leaning towards that at the moment. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy the drama and the coming together of a bunch of people to create just this almost a comedy of errors, but not quite so funny. It's more dramatic than anything. So the books that are in 1st and 2nd place, it was very hard for me to decide on because both of them made me sob so hard. They've been my favourite Morgan Matson books for years now. I really want to reread them because I think even now I am a lot older than the target audience, and I haven't read these two in probably 9-10 years. I would still really enjoy them. I think they would hold up. So it's very difficult for me to choose which one should be in first place, but I did manage it just because of reasons that I'll talk about in a second. In second place, in silver, we have Second Chance Summer. So this one is about a girl called Taylor Edwards, whose father is dying. He has been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and you know from the beginning that he is going to pass away. So she and her family go on a second chance summer together. It's going to be their final summer together while they deal with coming to terms with the news of her father dying and the grief that they are already feeling because they know they are going to lose him. I remember someone got into a bit of a huff because they thought that it was a spoiler to talk about the father dying, but you know from the beginning that he is terminal, he is going to die, so be prepared for that if you're going to read this book. It's a very emotional book and it did make me sob. I struggle with books about cancer anyway, and I think this one is about cancer, so it definitely got to me. And I read it in a time in my life when I was still very much grieving over the death of my nan, who also died from cancer. She was basically like a mother to me, and I was definitely still dealing with those feelings. So I really very much enjoyed reading this one and reading about Taylor dealing with her own grief and with also finding friendships and love as well at the same time as dealing with these difficult emotions, because it was such an interesting combination of like fluffy summer reading but also something really devastating happening. And that's why I love this one, because there are so many layers to it, so complex. Reading about Taylor experiencing all of those things at once was so interesting to me, because even though her dad was dying, she still didn't want to kind of give up on life, or even if she did, she shouldn't have, because life has to go on. It just has to. Found this one to be a great book and I would really like to reread it, so I'm thinking about reading it this summer because it's one of my all-time favourites. Which means in first place we have Since You've Been Gone. This one is my all-time favourite book by Morgan Matson. I honestly adore it. So this is about two best friends called Emily and Sloane. Emily is the main character, Sloane is the best friend, who is kind of the larger-than-life personality, and she really brought Emily out of her shell and helped her really enjoy her time at school and just her time in general. And then Sloane vanishes and Emily is obviously devastated, and she doesn't know what she's going to do without her best friend, who is basically her rock, and she doesn't think that she can continue on the way that she is without Sloane there to guide her. I really love this one. I love the friendship in it, even though it's not the healthiest friendship between Emily and Sloane. It comes to light that Emily was maybe leaning a bit too much on her and Sloane had her own issues going on as well. It was still a really great friendship to read about, and I loved reading about the love that the two characters had for one another. And it was really interesting to read about Emily trying to come to terms with the fact that her best friend is no longer around, and how, or what kind of person she is going to be now that Sloane is no longer with her. So it was about Emily finding herself and who she could be without her best friend to guide her, while also hanging on to the fact that she wanted to be best friends with Sloane because they loved each other. So I would say, apart from Second Chance Summer, this is probably Morgan Matson's deepest book and most hard-hitting, I think, because again it deals with a little bit of grief, to be honest, because the two best friends have lost each other, even if it is perhaps temporary. So I think she wove that aspect into it really well. Losing a friend is also very similar to grief. I think it evokes similar feelings. So yeah, I very much enjoyed this one. I loved it so much. 5 stars to both this and Second Chance Summer. I think they're both incredible books, and again I would really like to reread this one. It does have some sentimental value for me because my friends who were book blogging at the time together and we all read this around the same time and we loved it. We were fangirling over this book so hard, and it just reminds me of them and my early booktube and book blogging friendships. Honestly, I love it, so I couldn't recommend it enough, and I'm going to reread it this year to see if it still holds up. I have absolutely no doubt about it doing so, so I don't think I would give this less than 5 stars, but we will see. If I do feel differently, then I will get back to you, but honestly, it's fantastically written. I also love the cover as well. I love the newer covers that they were introducing for Morgan Matson's books. Like, these two are wonderful. I love them so much. So that is my ranking of Morgan Matson's books from least favourite to most favourite or best, however way you want to look at it. Let me know if you're a Morgan Matson fan in the comments below. I know quite a few people who have been around on BookTube for quite a while are really big fans of Morgan Matson. I think she was a bit of a bigger deal earlier on BookTube, so I think a lot of old school booktubers love her books, but maybe the newer ones haven't really discovered her just yet. So I think if you are new to Morgan Matson and you haven't really discovered any of her books, I would definitely recommend reading the harder hitting ones first. Since You've Been Gone and Second Chance Summer will probably make you cry, and they deal with grief and lots of emotional things. So yeah, I would recommend starting with these if you're in the mood for that. But if you did want something lighter, I definitely think the Take Me Home Tonight, Amy and Roger's, or Save the Date would be a good one for you as well, because they're all shorter. Amy and Roger is a tiny book in comparison to some of the books that are coming out nowadays, and I don't know if it would hold up now, but it might be a good one to start with. And Take Me Home Tonight has kind of the comical action sort of thing going on, and Save the Date is just chaotic. So these are also good places to start with Morgan Matson depending on what you're in the mood for. I don't think The Unexpected Everything is a good place to start with her just because it gets a bit more political, but it is about dogs. So if you like dog walking and dogs, then by all means pick this one up. It's definitely not a bad place to start. It's just not my favourite. It's not what I would necessarily recommend. So those are the books. Let me know what your favourite Morgan Matson book is in the comments below, or if you plan to read any. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye!